Well, let's talk about some notorious Nazis that got away. The 7 most notorious Nazis who escaped to South America. In some cases, it took 4 or 5 decades to bring them to justice. That's true. Allied, Allied forces defeated, no, actually, it was because of Russia. Defeated Germany in World War II. Europe became a difficult place to be associated with Adolf Hitler, Third Reich. Thousands of Nazi officers, high-ranking party members, and collaborators, including many notorious war criminals, escaped across the Atlantic, finding refuge in South America, particularly in Argentina, Chile, and Brazil. Oh, there's many brought into America. Argentina, for one, was already home to hundreds of thousands of German immigrants and had maintained close ties to Germany during the war. After 1945, Argentine President Juan Perón, himself drawn to fascist ideologies, enlisted intelligence officials and diplomats to help establish rat lines or escape routes via Spain, Spanish, and Italian ports. For many of the Third Reich also given aid the Vatican and Rome, which in seeking to help Catholic war refugees also facilitated fleeing Nazis, sometimes knowingly, sometimes not. As thousands of Nazis and their collaborators poured into the continent, a sympathetic and sophisticated network developed, easing the transition for those who came after. While there is no evidence that Hitler himself he killed himself. They're doomed escaped his doomed bunker and crossed the ocean. Such a network could have helped make that possible, except for Hitler killed himself. We know that from his secretary. Okay, below is a list of the most notorious Nazi war criminals who made their way to South America. 1. Adolf Eichmann. After what he's infamous for, the world's most wanted Nazi, Heinrich Eichmann, was the architect of Hitler's final solution to exterminate the Jews from Europe. The notorious SS lieutenant colonel masterminded the Nazi network of death camps that resulted in the murder of approximately 6 million Jews. Eichmann orchestrated the identification, assembly, and transportation of European Jews to Auschwitz, Treblinka, and other death camps in Germany-occupied Poland. His path to South America after World War II ended. Eichmann went into hiding in Austria with the aid of the Franciscan monk in Geneva, Italy. He obtained an Argentine visa and signed an application for a falsified Red Cross passport in 1950. He boarded a steamship in Buenos Aires under the alias Ricardo Clement. Eichmann lived with his wife and 4 children in middle-class suburb and worked as a Mercedes-Benz automotive. He was brought to justice. Israel Mossad agents captured Eichmann in a daring operation on May the 11th, 1960. Then snuck him out of the country by doping and disguising him as an El Al fight crew member. In Israel, Eichmann stood trial as a war criminal and responsible for deporting Jews to death and concentration camps. He was found guilty after a 4-month trial in Jerusalem and received the only death sentence ever issued by an Israeli court. He was hanged on May the 31st, 1962. Joseph Mengele, this is number 2. What he's infamous for. Second only to Eichmann as a target of Nazi hunters. The doctor, nicknamed the Angel of Death, conducted macabre experiments among the prisoners of Auschwitz death camps. An SS officer, Joseph Mengele, was sent at the start of World War II to the Eastern Front to repel the Soviets and received an Iron Cross for his bravery and service. After being wounded and declared unfit for active duty, he was assigned to the Auschwitz death camp. There he used the prisoners, particularly twins, pregnant women, and the disabled, as human guinea pigs. Mengele even tortured and killed children with his medical experience. His path to South America. After World War II, Mengele spent 3+ years in hiding in Germany. In 1949, with the help of a Catholic clergy member, the Angel of Death fled via Italy to Argentina, where he owned a mechanical equipment shop and nothing. Wait. 19. Okay. Remember, he fled via Italy to Argentina, where he owned an equipment shop and remarried under his own name in Uruguay in 1958. The doctor lived in various Buenos Aires suburbs, but after hearing of Eichmann's capture, went underground, first in Paraguay, then in Brazil. How he was brought to justice. West Germany had sent an extradition request to Argentina, which dragged its feet, claiming a review was necessary because the doctor's crimes had been political. Nazi hunters pursued him for decades, but Mengele ultimately drowned off the Brazilian coast in 1979, failed by a stroke because he had operated under an assumed name in Brazil. His death wasn't verified until his remains were forensically tested in 1985. Walter Wolff. What's he infamous for? An SS colonel, Wolff was instrumental in the construction and implementation of the mobile gas chamber, responsible for killing an estimated 100,000 people during World War II. According to the United Kingdom's MI5 intelligence agency, Wolff oversaw the modification of trucks that diverted their exhaust fumes into the airtight chambers in the back of vehicles capable of carrying as many as 60 people. The trucks were driven to a burial site. Along the way, victims would be fumes and tight. Carrying as many capable carry. The truck was driven to a burial. I've already read that. Poisoned. Along the way, victims would be poisoned and or asphyxiated from the carbon monoxide after persecuting Jews in Vichy, France-controlled Tunisia during 1942 and 43. Wolff oversaw Gestapo operations in northwest Italy. There, as in Tunisia, Wolff indiscriminately execution of both Jews and local partisans. His path to South America. Allied troops arrested Wolf at the end of the war. He escaped from an American POW camp and hid in Italy. Convents after serving as a military advisor to the president of Syria in 1948. He fled back to Italy and escaped to Ecuador in 1949 before settling in Chile, where he lived under his own name. How he was brought to justice. Never captured, Rolf worked as a manager of a king crab cannery and actually spied for West Germany between 1958 and 1962. His whereabouts became known after he sent a letter requesting that his German naval pension be sent to his new address in Chile. He was arrested in 1962 in Chile, but freed by the country's Supreme Court the following year. Okay, Chilean dictator Augusto Pinochet repeatedly resisted calls from the West Germany for Wolf's extradition. The Nazi died in Chile in 1984. German and Chilean mourners at the funeral gave Nazi salutes and chanted Heil Hitler. Franz Stengel. What's he famous for? Infamous for. Nicknamed the White Death for his proclivity to wear a white uniform and carry a whip. The Austrian-born Stengel worked on the Akhenaten 10-4 euthanasia program, under which the Nazis killed those with mental and physical disabilities. He later served as the commander of the Sobibor Treblinka death camps in Germany-occupied Poland. More than 100,000 Jews are believed to have been murdered during his tenure at the Sobibor before he moved to Treblinka, where he was directly responsible for the Nazi second deadliest camp, where 900,000 were killed. His path to South America. After the end of the war, Stengel was captured by the Americans but escaped to Italy from an Austrian prison camp in 1947, assisted by the Nazi sympathizing Austrian Bishop Alois Hudal. Stengel traveled to Syria on a regular assisted by the traveled from to Syria, Brazil in 1951. How was he brought to justice? He was brought to justice. He was employed by Volkswagen in Sao Paulo under his own name when he was arrested in 1967 after being tracked down by Simon Wiesenthal, a Holocaust survivor and well-known Nazi hunter. Extradited to West Germany, Stengel was tried and found guilty of mass murder of 900,000 people. Sentenced to life imprisonment, he died of heart failure in 1971, the year I was born. Joseph Schwarzenberger. Stop this. What was he infamous for? An Austrian Nazi, Schwarzenberger was an SS commander in charge of 3 labor camps in the Jewish ghettos of Nazi-occupied Poland. During World War II, Bandish, a brandishing a horsewhip and a German shepherd trained to attack people. He arrived in 1942 at the Roswaldo forced labor camp, where prisoners died by the hundreds, many shocked by Schwarzenberg. Himself in 1943, he organized the mass execution of 500 Jew prisoners at the Filzi camp. He personally executed 35 people at Zim, shooting them in the back of the neck, and dispatched Jews to the Auschwitz death camp in 1940. Okay. Camp. He personally executed. Okay. Shooting them with the back of the neck. Dispatched Jews at the Auschwitz death camp in Eilich in 1942-44. He cleansed the city of Jews. His path was littered with corpses, said the Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal. His path to South America. Arrested in Austria in 1945, Schwarzenberger escaped Italy in 1948. Months later, arrived in Argentina, where he lived openly under his own name and obtained citizenship. How was he brought to justice? Sought by the West Germany for extradition in 1973, Schwarzenberger went into hiding but was eventually arrested by Argentine officials in 1987 after an informant responded to the German government's $300,000 reward. He returned to West Germany in 1990 to stand trial. Witnesses at the trial said they had seen Schwarzenberger throw prisoners into bonfires, killed Jews kneeling beside mass graves, and slammed children's heads against walls. Because he didn't want to waste a bullet on them, in 1992 he was found guilty of 7 counts of murder and 32 cases of accessory to murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. Schwarzenberger died in prison in 2004 at the age of died in prison in 2004 at the age of 92. So this was the bastard, okay. 6. Eirik Pie. God damn it, they keep wanting me to fucking have the sound on. Get the fucking sound off. God damn fucking videos. What's he infamous for? A mid-level SS commander, a member of the Gestapo Beck, participated in the 1944 Aldentine Caves massacre in Rome, in which the Nazis slaughtered 335 people in retaliation for the killing of 33 German SS members by Italian partisans. Priebke admitted killing 2 of the Italians, but claimed he was only following orders. Priebke also signed off on the transportation of 2,000 Roman Jews to Auschwitz and served as a Nazi go-between with the Vatican. His path to South America. Priebke escaped from a British prisoner of war camp on New Year's Eve in 1946 by cutting through the barbed wire while his guards were drunk. With the help of Bishop Alois Hudal, Priebke fled to Argentina on a falsified Red Cross passport in 1948. He settled in an idyllic mountain town in San Carlos de Bariloche in the Patagonia region, where he operated a Vietnamese deli and worked as a German school, living under his own name. How he was brought to justice. In 1994, Breivik past was revealed to the world after an ambush interview by ABC newsman Sam Donaldson. As a result of the uproar following the interview, Breivik was extradited to Italy, where he was convicted of war crimes, sentenced to life imprisonment to be served under house arrest. Died in 2013 at the age of 100. His funeral resulted in a clash between fascist and anti-fascist protesters. He was buried in a secret location after Argentina refused to have him interned on its soil. Surprised me. Number 7. Gerhard Bohn. Was he a lawyer and SS officer? Bohn headed the Third Reich work group of sanitariums and nursing homes and was responsible for the administrative logistics of Hitler's Anakin for euthanasia program. Claiming to be a mercy killer, Bohn was instead among the leaders who carried out systematic exterminations in order to purify the Aryan race and avoid state expenditures on those with mental and physical disabilities. As told, the program killed some 200,000 Germans and incurable diseases, mental illness, and other handicaps. The victims were led to gas chambers in the institutions and then cremated. The program served as a trial for the mass extermination camps later operated by the SS. Bohn was thrown out of the Nazi Party after submitting a report accusing his agency of fraud and corruption. His path to South America, Bohn fled to Argentina in 1949, disguised as a technician for the military under the country's president, Juan Perón. He later admitted that Perón's helpers gave him money and identity papers. Let's say that. How was he brought to justice? After a coup deposed Perón, Bohn returned to Germany and was indicted by a court in Frankfurt in 1963. Released on bail, Bohn once again fled to Argentina, from where he was finally extradited 3 years later. As the first Nazi war criminal surrendered by Argentina declared unfit to stand trial, Bohn served another 15 years before his death in 1981. So there you go. This is quite the thing. So this is Gilgamesh. I will talk to you later. Bye.